With Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, Rockstar has once again revisited a previous title's setting on the PSP. Vice City Stories takes place 2 years prior to the events of the PlayStation 2 game and essentially works as some sort of an introduction to GTA Vice City. It's a much bigger game in almost every way than the first PSP GTA release, Liberty City Stories. Still, though, it's Grand Theft Auto through and through. By that, we mean that while things have been cleaned up or expanded a bit here or there, it's still largely the same game that we first saw with Grand Theft Auto 3. That's not necessarily a bad thing, as Vice City Stories is still easily one of the best games on the system. But if you've began to grow tired of the franchise's mechanics, mission structure, or overall feel, this likely won't renew your love of the series. In fact, after remembering our time with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, we can't help but feel that Vice City Stories isn't quite everything it could be. Sure, it's a big technical improvement over Liberty City Stories, but there's nothing substantially new to the series here. We suppose that'll have to wait for Grand Theft Auto 4, and we're more than willing to hold our breath, but it seems like this would be the perfect platform, literally and figuratively speaking, for some new experimentation. Being able to swim this time out is nice, but we've seen that before, and it really just feels like we're getting something back that we've already had. As mentioned, Vice City Stories makes a number of technical improvements over what we saw with Liberty City Stories last year. The frame rate has been improved a bit, maybe not leaps and bounds on average, but it's much more steady than last time out. There's a lot more detail to be seen in nearly every facet of the game, from the characters to vehicles to the environments. Vice City Stories is a much more intricate-looking title. There's also a fair bit less pop-in than before, which was a pretty big problem last time out. Not only would you see buildings and such pop into view in the distance, but the game's streaming technology had problems keeping up with the speed of some vehicles, and you'd actually have solid objects appear at the last second. This problem still does happen in Vice City Stories, especially when you get behind the wheel of some of the game's quickest rides, but it's much less of an issue than last time out. Amazingly, the revamped engine is actually able to keep up with the game's helicopters, which you can now pilot. Regardless of your speed or height, the frame rate stays solid, the draw distance reaches far, and there are no major technical issues at hand. You'll see texture maps replaced and geometry worked out at various levels of detail, but these are all easily overlooked. Piloting the choppers is a joy, though you don't have the dual analog setup that the series employs for flight on the PlayStation 2. The PSP's layout still provides for a great helicopter control system. Turning with the L and R buttons and tilting the rotary ship with the analog stick, you control the blade speed with X and square. It's a system that works quite naturally, and it only takes a minute or two to get the controls under wrap. Beyond that, it's just a matter of learning the nuances of piloting the choppers, which, again, feel great. While we're on the subject of vehicular feel, Vice City Stories brings with it the same driving physics system that we've seen slowly become refined since Grand Theft Auto 3. It's responsive yet wily, fast and yet controllable, completely unrealistic and yet really damn fun. In other words, you'll have just as much fun flying down the streets of Vice City as you did the first time around. The game includes the same mission acceleration options that we've seen in the past few games, namely Quick Trip and the taxis that await you after failing a mission. Quick Trip allows you to skip the non-action driving sections of a mission, which is nice in theory, though it isn't always available when you'd think it should be. The taxi system returns, where a cab will wait for you outside of a hospital or prison and will take you back to the starting point of the mission you just failed. The old problem of being ill-equipped has been addressed this time in that you can bribe the police to buy back all of your confiscated weapons. It's not exactly cheap, but it can be a big time saver. The combat has been fixed a bit in a few ways, but other problems still linger. Vice City Stories seems to do a better job of targeting enemies than Liberty City Stories, ignoring civilians for the most part. If there's an enemy behind you and a civilian in front, or a civilian much closer to you than an enemy, it may still target them first, but the auto-target works a fair bit better. You're still unable to run and shoot with most weapons, however. Pistols and Uzis are fine, but anything besides those will require that you stand in place while firing. You can get used to this, but it's still an annoyance. There is a rather major problem with hand-to-hand combat while wielding a gun, however. If an enemy gets too close to you, you'll basically be unable to fire off clean shots at him, and he'll continuously pummel you until you either run away or drop dead. On multiple occasions, we were told to enter a building mid-mission and were unknowingly attacked immediately by someone wielding a bat or other melee weapon. In tight spaces, you can't get far enough away to fire off clean shots, so you need to quickly swap to a proper weapon while you're getting beaten to death. Worse than this, though, is when you're caught by an entire mob and basically get stuck, unable to flee the massive beating and must simply reside to death. That's especially fun. The Grand Theft Auto series has always had a rather patchwork storyline. Regardless of how well told the overall big picture is, the smaller individual mission ideas have often seemed at least a little tacked on. Unfortunately, none of this has ever been more evident than what we see in Vice City stories. The storyline simply starts out weak and doesn't really ever get any better. As Vic Vance, you start out in the army and begin running some rather shady missions for your commanding officer. You tell him that you need some cash to help your ailing brother, but that you're against illegal activities. Regardless, you start running drugs, killing gang members, and doing all sorts of other rather illegal things, all while complaining about it at every opportunity. It seems that Vic is completely against this sort of behavior, and yet he continuously partakes in it and carries out commands from shady character after shady character. Of course, many fans of the series will mostly ignore the actual events of the storyline and simply focus on character traits to provide them some semblance of storytelling. But it's hard to overlook the fact that someone who's so against violence and illegal activity will take commands from racist, wife-beating bosses while barely questioning their motives. One new aspect of the series that works somewhat well is the ability to not only take over businesses, but being able to manage them. There are 30 some odd businesses in Vice City that span 6 different front types, from brothels to protection rings to repossession businesses. Each of these can be upgraded for a fee and will give you a daily return on your investment. Not only can you pay to increase the quality and hence profitability of any of your establishments, but you can go on empire missions in order to increase the standing of said business in the city. The more empire missions you complete and the more you upgrade the building, the more profit you will make. However, the empire missions are anything but exciting. You max out your standing upon completing 15 missions. For the repossession missions, you'll go after a bike, then a truck, and then a bike, and then a truck, and then a bike, and then a truck, and then a bike, and so on and so on. The prostitution missions simply have you pick up one trickster, take her to a John, and then pick up another and do the same. Every now and then the John won't pay and you need to gun him down, but they never put up a fight. Regardless of which empire missions you're doing, they're all exercises in tedium. And now you may be wondering why a game that we've basically talked about negatively for half the review deserves a rating of 9. Regardless of how bad the story is or how little innovation is in the game, it's still a Grand Theft Auto title through and through. Rockstar has consistently imbibed a sense of humor into an expansive and fun world, and it keeps you coming back for more. This is 100% true of Vice City stories. Navigating the world, be it on foot, in vehicle, or in the air, is fun as hell. Even though the story sucks, the characters are unique and intriguing enough that you likely won't skip the cutscenes. And most of all, it's simply and purely fun. On top of the basic play mechanics that make any GTA game fun, Vice City Stories also has one hell of a soundtrack, quite possibly the best to date. The variety of music is fantastic, and although it seems like there might not be quite as many tunes as we've seen in the console games, though we didn't count, we were rocking out to each and every tune every time they came on the radio. And additionally, you have the game's multiplayer aspect. Many of the game modes are takes on classic multiplayer game types, like Taken for a Ride, which is essentially a revision of Capture the Flag. Empire Takedown is great fun, with each team infiltrating the other's base and attempting to plant explosives to take it out, and then protect said explosives while they count down to detonation. Most of these modes are great fun, though you'll need players who know what they're doing to keep the action up. Modes like Might of the Hunter, where you attempt to take out others with a chopper, can last forever when new players come to grips with the helicopter's controls. It's not as bad with the basic types, though the multiplayer certainly gets better once you know what you're doing and play with others who are experienced as well. Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories is essentially more of the same, for better or for worse. It's a nice leap over what we saw in last year's release of Liberty City Stories, but it still feels safe by many standards. The story is certainly subpar, and there are problems with close combat while armed with a firearm or when attacked in groups, but it still has all of the elements that makes every Grand Theft Auto game great. It's funny, doesn't take itself seriously. The gameplay mechanics are mostly great fun, and the world is a fantastic place to screw around in.
member of his new 1946 Public Protection Team. A medal you'll be so proud of to show your friends. You'll want to carry it with you wherever you go, just like a real Medal of Honor. It has a swell picture of Gordon Moreland on it, catching a crook, and also pictures of his buddies, Molly Malmsteen and the Chief. It contains special symbols, including letters and numbers that tell you important things, which is true of many other things, including books and dogs. But wait, it has an even more special feature on the back. The most exciting thing of all about your bronze medal of membership to the Public Protection Team is a real lead bullet. Don't believe us? Suck it and see. That distinctive lead taste proves it's real. Lead is full of nutrients. Just ask any bad guy filled full of the stuff by Gerald Moorhead. They soon stop acting bad after they've been dosed up with lead, and you will too. Here's how you can get one absolutely free. Just go to your nearest friendly napalm company in Florida.
Hey, Vic, how you doing? Martinez wanted me to give you this. Don't worry, it's non-traceable.
Don't worry. Man, I'm getting too deep into this shit.
Fresh 105. Fresh. Watch out, sucker MCs. I know y'all like this one here, Vice City.
Do you know Mary?
If you want Mary, she's at a party up on Starfish. I'm heading over there myself. You can give me a lift.
We playing all the hot joints. Hey, you know what comes out at night, huh? Ain't that but some freaks, some hoes?
I'm Mona, by the way. If there's anything I can do for you, or to you, just let me know.
Disco open after dark, and it ain't till 12 till the party really starts.
Thanks for the ride, rugged fella. Maybe I can pay you back in kind later?
I just need to find Mary.
Sure, she's right over there.
Are you Mary? Come on, let's go.
Hey, we paid for her. She's not going anywhere.
Is that a fact?
Damn right. Come on. Let's get this lowlife nobody and teach this bitch a lesson too.
Get off me, man! Step off!
You want some of this? You want this to get ugly?
Take it easy, Muscles. I've got a delicate disposition.
Raises a $2 trip for a daughter, Molly. A very sick individual, and probably a communist. I don't like to...
But I think I hate this fisherman, Gordon.
Don't hate him, Molly. Pity him, and help me kill him.
Oh, I shall.
Did Martinez send you? That cockroach still owes me from last time.
Searching for this fisherman, we've uncovered a ring of illegal communists and almost worse. A man who was leading girls into a life of hideous and unmentionable vice.
Good on you, Moorhead. You're the best man in this place. You've got my backing, whatever you do. Kill whoever you think necessary.
Thanks, Chief. You're a good cop in a difficult situation.
But Moorhead, tell me, what men are doing these terrible things in our lovely new town?
Not men, Chief. Man. One man.
Who?
A missing fisherman. He's faked his death to put us off the scent.
A fisherman, of course, killing his own daughter. Moorhead, I know we've had our differences in the past, but the city needs you. Our burgeoning beachside community could be ruined by this sort of scandal. I'm to bring this man to justice, whatever it takes.
I shall, Chief. You know you can count on me. He's probably hiding in the swamp somewhere.
Yeah, Moorhead, firstly, we don't say swamp. We say attractive wetland countryside right on your doorstep should you decide to move to our beautiful part of the world.
Sorry.
Secondly, if you're heading into the swamp, you'll probably need some help.
Need help? I'm Gordon Moorhead, not some rusky chief.
I mean this kind of help. Friendly napalm. It's great for only your tree and...
Corporal Vance, would you care to explain why there's marijuana hidden under your bed? And who the Sam Hill is this?
Hey, buddy. Listen, I charge more for groups.
You brought a whore onto the base? Have you no shame, boy? Are you a moron? Is that it? Drugs, whores, you're out of here, soldier. You're a disgrace!
Come on, pal.
Señorita Malmsteen.
Pablo, what are you doing here?
Oh, Pablo no can say, señorita. But since you asked, I was searching for the souls of my ancestors.
I thought you were Mexican. Why would they be buried in Florida?
Yeah, that's true. They're not here. Hey, would you like a tortilla chip?
Pablo, this is no time for eating. My speech is under threat. A vicious murderer, pimp, and communist is on the loose in these beautiful wetlands right on our doorstep. And we've got to find him and bring him to justice.
But Gordon, what kind of idiot would hide in these awful swamps? I mean, he's full of alligators and snakes and sea cow poop.